back to the analyst desk. Game one, or sorry, I should say set one, has already been concluded. We're coming up with set two now with Eager versus Noble. Joining me today is going to be Drelo once again from Team Enemy, the coach, and once again, good old Tolly on the end there for us as well. First of all, let's go straight into these two teams, and I want to talk first of all about Warus. Drelo, you know a bit about this guy as well. What do you think Warus brings to this team?
Well, Warus is not only a great player, a fantastic player, and by far the best player in this team, and in my opinion, a top 3 solo laner. But not only that, but he also brings a great personality to the team. He's very happy, very upbeat, keeps morale high, and keeps things comical. And
that's very important as well. Totally, obviously, we just played yesterday. Fantastic play from Warus individually.
We can hear his basically screaming and shouting with that Osiris play in that last set. He was just on fire that whole day, and I expect maybe momentum coming into today.
We'll see what he can do here. Well, let's take a look at what some of the players think about Warus and his play style.
Walrus, he's kind of like an underrated solo laner. I think he's really good and he has a pretty nice god pool. He's definitely underrated, but I think like if he does well in land, people will start realizing how good he actually is.
Warus is probably one of the most underrated solos in the game. I think he's a really, really skilled laner. I think if he gets out of laning phase ahead, I think he has a potential to carry, but we haven't really seen that this split or last split, but we kind of saw ounces of it, but I think he has a really high carry potential.
First, he's like one of my favorite people in the community. Good memes, great player. Just love everything about him, great guy.
Oh, he was like kind of like the bigger figure on that team, I guess, like the more known player of all of them. And so he's like respected from a lot of other solo laners, so I know he's got to be like a pretty good player. But again, I think they're definitely kind of the only team here that no one really knows that much about. Maybe because people don't pay attention, which is an advantage to them. So we'll see.
Well, the main thing about Warus there is underrated was the main thing the players came up with. But Aroar, different story, Tolly. Everybody knows this kid.
He has the same style of Walrus, being the vocal person of his team, and that's what he really provides. He wants to be able to rile his troops up, and he does it with some very unconventional picks as well.
Those picks, Drelo, as well, when you talk about them, you know, we mentioned it a little bit, he plays a lot of interesting things like the Ares, which not a lot of North Americans really like playing.
Not only the Ares, but also the Erlang Shannon, which they pair up with the Guardian solo and with Divios, with the Sobek, the Ymir. It gives them a lot of versatility, and it's very new. It's very cheesy. You know, a lot of teams don't prepare for things like that, so it's going to catch a lot of teams off guard.
That's a big thing as well, Tully, because the one thing that Aurora does that most supports don't is go to the solo lane quite often to go and look for pressure there. What's the big issue with doing that, though? Does that benefit them? Does that give them extra strength and extra edge in these games?
It just depends on the timing that you do it. If you could do it early enough before the enemy team can sneak a gold fear on you, you can allow your own solo laner, specifically Divios, to really snowball hard.
Well, let's see what people had to say about Aurora.
I would consider Aurora one of my best friends in and outside of the game.
Aurora, I mean, there was this one time when he was in the hotel, and he took a poop, and it went down to our room, so yeah. Nah, he's a nice guy, though. He's a nice guy.
Aurora's a really good support. He is very aggressive compared to the other supports.
Very aggressive, likes giving as much free farm to Zap as possible, get him very far ahead.
Aurora is a much more aggressive version of most of the supports in the game, so it's interesting seeing how he plays because it's a lot different than how I do. So it's always a treat to watch him.
A lot of people kind of have been like, oh, I'm 2 scrims and I'm done. It's like, that's never been the case with Aurora. So I really appreciate having someone who actually really wants to play and wants to get better and isn't complacent, so to speak.
About Aurora there and the fact that he pooped all over Orbit. We'll see if they can poop all over Noble as we go into picks and bans. Expectations totally from the pick and ban phase.
I overheard Taco talking about the preparation that Noble did after the first game. They're still taking this tournament very seriously, despite not being able to really take a win yet. I thought they were going to go into this tournament with some crazy wild and picks, but that hasn't been the case. Noble, they're still very focused heading into day 2.
What do they really need to do though, Drelo? Obviously, like losing day 1 here, there's still 12 points they can get across the next 2 days to do it. But what are the big changes they have to make?
Well, I hope they took the time yesterday to watch over the games and really correctly, again, identify what their mistakes were and identify like why they lost team fights. But I'm looking for the Ra or a Terra ban here. Ra and Terra, in my opinion, were the centerpieces of the two main comps that Eager ran and won with yesterday. And I'm looking for them to either ban Ra, then ban like, you know, a throwaway like Rat, and look the first pick Terror, or ban Ra or Terror outright.
And when we look at the Eager as well, though, Tolly, they won't just come in here with just one strategy, though. You know, we've seen the Erlang Shen Ra combination. We could see more.
We saw Erlang Shen coming from Aroar. We saw Bastet coming out of DJ. They definitely have done their homework. They have so much theory crafting behind them. Zapman has been around the scene forever. DJ has been coming from Counter-Strike, where he's been developing strategies for his own team. So I'm not surprised, or I wouldn't be surprised, rather, if they have maybe 10 more strategies lined up, even if Terra gets taken away from them and if Ra gets banned.
On top of that as well, Drayler, when we actually look at Eager here, Divios has been running a lot of Wrath in the solo lane just lately, not foregoing the teleport early on to have this Wrath, not necessarily invading, but what does that bring and what can that be abused by?
Well, you can get away with it on Sobek because you have the ult to sustain your mana, you have the 3 to heal you up. I mean, it's probably the only character, or one of the only characters that you can work with Wrath, but also going Wrath on that Sobek prevents the invade. One of the things that really counters Sobek or Guardian Souls in general is that level 1 invade. And if you take that away, it allows the Guardian to get through the laning phase. But I think Sobek's probably the only one that could actually get away with it.
We did do it with Ymir as well, though, Tolly. And I guess that's the same sort of story, just a little bit different.
It's definitely a great strategy that Divios has been able to execute, because not only does he keep his own blue buff alive with the Wrath, but on top of that, he's been able to invade the enemy blue buff once he does get that slight lead. So this is a strategy that Divios has been practicing ever since his COG Red days, where he's always been running these Wraths, Hog Days, invade styles, and that's been helping out Eager. I feel like if we look at soul laners as a whole, I think Eager has the strongest soul laner in this group.
And I agree with that because of the fact they've got 2 rookies at LAN as well as Warus, and Warus is a great player, Driller. We were talking about it a little bit earlier on, but it's his first time at LAN.
Right, and also Divios brings to the table a lot more diverse god pool. He can play just about anything, and he also can pull out the weird, you know, like weird picks that people aren't prepared for. That's kind of like Eager's thing. They're pulling out very weird, they're pulling out their meta, so to speak.
And against Noble, though, do they really have to do that? Like bring out weird picks against Noble?
No, they don't. They can just play what they were playing before, play pretty standard to their meta, and they should be looking to save, you know, like their sort of pocket picks for the stronger teams.
You agree with that, Tolly?
It's still the second day. This is the first set for Eager. We just saw the first set happen between Allegiance and Luminosity, where they've been running their own comfort picks. We know what those two teams like, but we don't really know what Eager's comfort picks are, because I personally feel that almost every single god is their comfort pick.
It's viable. That's the way of it. They're quite happy to run anything, although we didn't see Nox out of them. They did hover it a little bit, and the end Allegiance did it.
I was talking with them about that before, and they knew that MLC Stealth really likes the Nox. They weren't actually going to lock in the Nox. It was more of a mind game. It's like, hey, we're hovering over Nox. We know that you guys like the Nox. And they were talking about their loss against Allegiance, saying how they actually forgot to ban the Nox and the Vamana.
So other than Whalrus on the side of Noble Esports here, who else are we looking at potentially to try and do something big in this game for them?
Well, I'm looking at Whalrus. Whalrus is sort of identified as their second carry.
Okay.
He's very quiet, does his own thing, but like he's kind of like the silent carry of the team, you know? Just out of nowhere, this guy would just rip apart a whole, like, you know, a team in his scrims.
Well, you mentioned quietness there, and that's one of the issues that Noble Esports seem to have when we've listened to the communication, Tolly. They don't really have a shot caller in the later stages of the game. Mirage very quiet in the jungle. At the same time, Wubbn also quiet in the support role too.
It's all about riding off of the momentum that they can get in the early game. We saw how Warus was able to really snowball off of the mistakes that Scary D was making, but they couldn't really translate that in the mid to late game. So they have to figure out a way to dedicate somebody to make these calls going into the goal theory calls, somebody to peel back if they're chasing too far in the back line.
So with Noble here, wait for their first ban to come through still at the moment with this team. I mean, do you try and ban somebody out here, or do you just ban things that are going to... Do you actually just draft a composition for yourself and ban things that are going to affect it? Is that the best way to go here?
Honestly, his first pick, it's very strong against teams that like just play certain things or play very, like, you know, very like easily to, like, you know, to deny drafts, like again, Eager. So they have 2 brands here. If they're comfortable with letting things through and just letting, like, you know, like all the gods through, they could just ban like Raw Terror, like things that go at Eager's comp.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what they do here, because obviously Susano and Nemesis pretty much the go-tos for Mirage so far. It's in his god pool, Tolly. But then Susano, we saw him run into triple Guardian or triple Warrior tanks, or whatever you want to call it. That caused him a lot of issues to be able to find any burst.
Well, you know who's good against Guardians
Nemesis?
that Mirage really likes to play? Well, there's Nemesis. And there's also the Thanatos that he's most notably known for. When he used to be playing under the name of Dirty Bubble, he's been developing a strategy where he would go this tank Thanatos, and he would be able to kill anybody that he really wants to.
You mentioned that, though, from Drelo, you know Mirage a little bit more, and you said he doesn't like playing Thanatos anymore, though.
No, he doesn't like playing the dirty bubble build on Thanatos, but he still plays it a lot in ranks.
Okay, I thought it was the other way around. That's why it was an interesting one there between them as well. So when we actually go through this as well, we expect to see Mirage probably with Nemesis. Do you expect a Nemesis ban then from Eager?
I'm expecting, honestly, not only for if it gets through the third ban, yes, I expect the Nemesis ban. But in the top 3, I'm looking at Nemesis, Thor, and if it gets through to, like, the later stages of the draft, you could possibly think Thanatos come out from Mirage.
So a lot of focus there onto Mirage, maybe coming out from Eager in the pick and ban phase, potentially here. Obviously, the team's still setting up. Zapman seems quite confident there for himself. He had a good day 1, Toli. Overall, Zapman in that position.
Pretty good day so far from Zapman in the first one. He didn't really rely on his chronos that he's been relying on in the online stages, which is really surprising to see that they've been changing their strategies for so long to just be able to really pull out anything.
And talk about his mage hunters as well. He pulled out Freya yesterday. The first time we've seen it in quite a long time, but he has got it in his god pool, Drelo, and he showed it.
I had an opportunity to talk to some guys from Eager, Divios especially, and what they told me was during the fall split, they had a lot of trouble getting scrims because people were traveling all at different times. So they would have droughts without scrims. So they just they weren't really prepared going to the fall split. But now these past 4 weeks, they've been scrimming nonstop 5-6 hours a day. So they figured out what they want to play and they figured out their own meta to play.
It's got him off to a great start in this group. On your screen there is Adoro on the side of Noble eSports, stepping in for Moswell, who was replaced just before these group stages as well. He's quite a character though, Toli.
He's definitely been around the block for a while, and he's been going with the flow for the most part. But now it's his time to really shine. He is being put in the position to pair up with Mirage, trying to find some wins for Noble, because right now they've been really struggling, and it's not really the downfall of any individual player coming out of Noble. I would just say that because they're talented enough to really get the wins that they need to. They just need to find the synergy to make the shot calling. But look at how happy Adoro is right now. He's just smiling and laughing his ass off, basically, just having a good time.
Yeah, I think switch to the solemn djpernicus.
And the solemn djpernicus, because he knows what he's going to do in this game.
Right.
He said to me, like, day 1, he expected to be LG 2-0, and both in 22 minutes, he would go 0-5. And that's kind of what djpernicus' playstyle seems to be, is he's for the good of the team.
Exactly. And DJ, not only about that, but also confidence. He is extremely confident. Before the games, he went up to Mass and said, "You're going to play like you were on Envy." Like, this guy is honestly just a savage.
So we'll see if they can actually extend with another 3 points here up against Noble. It's likely, though, Toli. A lot of people expect Eager to 2-0 this quite comfortably.
I'm not surprised that DJ talks like that, honestly, coming from the Counter-Strike community. You have to get inside your opponent's head if you want to get any sort of slight competitive advantage. Coming from the online scene of Counter-Strike, transitioning into Smite Professional right now, djpernicus uses this to his fullest advantage. And on top of this, it's not just djpernicus that might smack talk a little bit. Zapman's been known to try to get into people's heads as well.
Oh, yeah, and Aroar. You've got Divios as well, the whole team. There's the first ban for you, and you called it, Drelo. It's going to be the Raw. On top of that, Athena from Eager. So trying to hit Wubbn there a little bit.
Right, very standard. They played Athena quite a bit in day 1, and Eager just going at Noble with the target ban on Athena.
Well, Jingwei taken away from Zapman as well, and there is the Terror ban as well. So actually, Eager banning the Terror themselves. Are you surprised by that?
I'm not surprised by that at all. They don't want to let it through. They don't want Noble to have a first pick Terror.
It almost feels to me, Toli, that Eager are like, okay, listen, we can deal with Warus if he's the only carry, but Wubbn synergizing with his team as well could be a big issue for them.
It seems that Noble relies on Wubbn's god picks. We saw him actually first pick the Athena.
That's true.
Earlier on. But now it's going to be Noble with the first pick. They don't have the option to go for the Athena, but yet again, they want to prioritize a pick for Wubbn. I don't really expect Scary D to run the Sobek solo lane here. He wants to go for more of the warrior style.
Was this forced Drelo the Sobek pick because of the bans and the way they went?
Well, Sobek not only gives great pressure in lane and also soft counters Guan, which they just picked, but also Sobek is a direct takeaway from Divios. Sobek was a very strong pick to them in their set against LG. I think this is not a bad first pick.
Talk to me about why you think it's a soft counter to Guan as well, just for the viewers at home.
Well, you have built-in anti-healing for in his kit. You can pluck him. You can put him out of position in which he has to either dash your way or ult away, and you can also ultimate chase after him.
Well, Ratatoskr going to get locked in for Eager here, so DJ, it looks like Eager going very standard Toli here. Nothing special coming out so far from their picks.
Not at all. Guan, you don't know if that's going to go for Aroar or Divios, and Ratatoskr, that could also be Divios or DJ. Probably going to go for DJ. They're going to rely on trying to set up best in the mid place, but on the flip side, Noble, they're going to have a lot of mobility, having the Susano as well well as the Janus.
Right. A lot of mobility, a lot of engage and disengage potential with the Susano, Sobek, and Janus. They're going to look for poke and possibly disengage once they force an active too. But also, I would not be surprised if Wubbn maybe picked up the support after, maybe like a Fafnir after the third bans, and they took the Sobek to solo.
Do you reckon we'll see Warus, though, on the carry of this team to an extent on the Sobek solo?
Sobek can be a very potent carry if he gets ahead and gets through the early game. We saw Divios running at Xenotronics and soloing pretty much every fight.
That's pretty true. Raijin was the last pick for eager there, so that's going to go over to the best in the mid lane. Not something we've really seen too much of the best playing, though, Toli.
No, he's been playing a lot of Raw earlier on yesterday, and now he's going to be finally playing a more traditional from Season 3 last split that we've been known to see him play is going to be the Raijin. Now, with Ratatoskr, they're going to have a lot of damage output, but they don't have that much control, I would say, just with regular abilities. They're relying on their ultimates for that crowd control.
Right. And also, I really like this comp because it's very well balanced. You have Rat for engage to cover for Guan's weakness. You have Guan for sustain to cover for, like, any poke they may encounter via Susano and Janus. And they have Raijin to even all and add CC into their comp.
Well, a little bit of focus from eager here onto the Warus in the solo lane for Noble Esports with Vermona and now Ravana banned as well. Rama against Zapman here as well. So what are we expecting the draft to go for our boy in the solo lane Divios here beforehand, Toli?
It's going to be probably an aggressive god coming out of Divios, knowing that it's going to be against Whalrus, especially if he's thinking that it's going to be Sobek in the solo lane. The fact that Eager has the last pick, we're going to see what that pick is going to be. But I expect actually maybe it's going to be Zapman playing the Chronos with the soul being banned. Freya not really very tempting here. Guan Yu and Chronos just synergize so well together. You're able to Taolu assault the whole wave and able to use one timer to really clear it.
And also, I would not be surprised if we saw a mage pick in either solo or ADC with the Guan support pick, or the seemingly Guan support pick. And we see the Freya.
It was close, Toli, but it's going to be the Freya, not the Chronos this time round. I guess he's going to keep that in his pocket still for the time being.
It still has the same mindset. The Freya is going to be able to synergize off of the Taolu assault during laning phase, but Freya hits just a little bit harder than Chronos in the late game.
Yeah, right. You're basically trading out CC for damage with Freya and Chronos.
Okay, so there's a big thing there. Last two picks for Noble then coming through, and the moment Wowy hovering over the Ullr right now, and still they're looking for potentially a solo laner, unless we do see, you called this again there, Draylo, with the Fafnir hover now coming out from Noble Esports as well. So we may see the Sobek and solo, Toli.
It could very well be the Sobek and solo lane. This Ullr pick coming out is going to be a contest to Zapman. It's like, I'm going to box you right off the bat, and I'm going to try to kill you.
And with the Fafnir supporting that as well, there could be a lot of destruction on the side of Noble Esports if they get off to a good start here, Draylo.
Right, certainly. I mean, they have a very, very strong comp. The only thing I might want to pick apart of the comp is with Susano, Janus, Fafnir, it might be a little bit awkward to start a fight. Because think about it. Fafnir's biggest weakness is it's very awkward from the start of fight.
That's true.
You 3 and you 1 in, like that's incredibly predictable. Same thing with Susano. They're going to rely on the Susano 3-2 like initiation.
But then again, when you look at the team of Eager as well, they kind of struggle with initiation a little bit more too. They've got to rely on the Rat Ultimate more than anything.
It's like Rat Dash in 3 or Rat Ultimate.
Last pick coming out from Eager then, Tully. Expecting the Divios, the Divios knows it's Sobek and solo line up against him. What do you expect to see here?
I would not be surprised if an Osiris comes out, but it's going to be the old school Hercules. I love it because Eager, they were kind of lacking the crowd control, I would say, in these team fights with Guan Yu being played on Aroar. So now, once Divios starts rotating, expect some really hyper-aggressive plays with those pulls.
Well, on top of this as well, Draylo, before we throw to the casters here, both these solo laners have a lot of CC, and so I think we're going to see big team fights 5v5.
Around the mid game. When Sobek gets around level 12 and he gets teleport, that's when you should expect him to rotate.
What's your prediction, Toli?
I got to give it to Eager here. They have the Guan Yu sustain, and they have Divios playing the Hercules.
What about you, Draylo?
I want to say Eager as well, but Ryan Gang for life.
Okay, we'll see. Casters, what have you got to say? F-Dot and Adonis are standing by with this set.
You know, throughout the entire weekend, Hindu, and Adonis, I've been incredibly impressed by the pick ban phase out of Eager. I think they're one of the more intelligent teams in the SPL,
For sure.
and they're bringing it to land.
Big D coming up in a really crucial set here with the Hercules. I'm a little bit surprised to see the Hercules be brought out against Noble if this is something that Eager had in their back pockets for this just entire event. Obviously, Noble, the weakest team here. I think we saw that from yesterday, but this Hercules is going to bring a lot of damage. And what I want to talk about most, I think, is the dynamic of soul laners in this group. Divios has the biggest edge on everyone. Whalrus hasn't been to LAN, Scary D had never been to LAN, and then Cope had never been to LAN. And him just having that old school meta mentality, as well as knowing how to be comfortable in this situation, has allowed him to really abuse these soul lane matchups. But now he's facing off against Whalrus, really the other solo laner we've seen perform so performed so far in the past day.
And, you know, Whalrus is definitely, he's a force to be reckoned with. I think a lot of players and more importantly, people at home are realizing that Whalrus can be one of the big boys.
Scary.
But at the same time, Divios has already been one of the big boys. And when it comes, if you know me, you know that I like this Hercules pick a lot.
So this is what's going to be interesting because Whalrus, while of the 3 rookies in the Soul Lane here, he's played the longest, so he actually was the one who has experienced the Guardian in the Soul Lane meta. He hadn't played it at LAN, and actually he's adopted Divios' style, going for the Sobek as well as the Wrath. You can see Divios picking up the Wrath as well, and I don't think either of these Soul Lanes have vision on each other just yet. So the other one doesn't know that Wrath is in the hands, but there it is. That ward from Wubbn is going to spot out Divios.
Yeah, I think Whalrus knows that Divios has Wrath because I think everybody knows that Divios has Wrath. But it might be a little bit more surprising to see Wally with the Wrath. But that said, with the Sobek, you kind of need it. You can even see Drelo on the desk saying level 12 when he gets teleport, anticipating that he was going to start off with the Wrath in hand. So certainly no surprises there. Mid lane matchup, though, a little bit of a surprise here. Aduro's going to be playing the God of Doors, while the best across the way. This is the first time we're seeing him play Raijin in eons.
I think he might have played it once during the online stages, but based on the stats and picks and bans, we haven't seen him in quite some time. He's really not been prioritizing that, and I think that goes back to Eager's kind of mindset, where they don't play the meta, they like to play around it, because then they know how to beat every single team, and if they feel like if they lost, it's more about their execution, less so than the gods they had drafted.
Which I think really fits not only their playstyle, but also just who these players are, right? If Zapman, Divios, and djpernicus are going to drop a game, they want to know it's their fault, not the enemy outplaying them. So here, Noble getting in some trouble. Wubbn going to get dashed on and lifted. And a good stun coming out of Wowy, going to provide some distance. Not enough! And there's the damage. First blood going to Aroar. Aggressive as always. Eager starts things with 1, 2, 3 on the clock.
I didn't notice that. I'm wondering if we didn't see the jump come out from Wubbn, or if it was picked up at the start here. We're going to have a quick pause by Eager. We're going to be sorting this out soon. But this is, I think, a dual lane that we really needed to see Noble win. They got the Fafnir Ullr, and what that tells me is we're going to kill Zapman. We're going to look for the stun. It's a free combo off of Ullr. Wowy just needs to be on point with hitting his abilities, and we're going to make sure that Zapman is pressured back. Now, the issue here is I'm pretty sure Aroar and Zap got to lane first. So the Talos all grouped up the minions. Zapman had a really easy time to clear, and so they were able to find that first blood. Again, I really, once this unpause happens, I really want to see Wubbn and kind of notice if he had got the jump. I didn't see him jump at all in that situation, so I think he got the heal and the attack speed buff and the hammer instead.
Most likely, I mean, because that stun, you certainly want to have that stun. That's usually what you're going to start off with, but you really want that stun specifically for this matchup. Looking at the Ullr and the Fafnir combination, it excels versus the Guan and Freya, because one, I mean, Freya doesn't really have many ways to get out of jail, and two, the Tallow gets to be stopped by your stuns. So having the disarm and the stun come out, that's really what you want to look for. It's
brutal.
Problem is, if your Freya does get aggressive for some reason, you're going to wind up wiping by the floor.
Can we highlight over Wubbn real quick? I just want to see if my assumption was right and he didn't get the disarm. No, he did have it, so I guess he had just used it to jump into that lane there and got caught off and abused by Eager. So good job from Eager, great presence of mind, really starting this game off strong.
And that shouldn't surprise anybody at home. I mean, Zapman, we've talked a lot about it. We even showed you a little bit of the interviews from the players. He has made the conscious decision to go ahead and be a little bit more reserved and be a little bit more passive, but that doesn't mean that old Zapman don't exist. They're going to jump in level 2 and 3.
If Wubbn's going to jump into that lane and you have a curse online for Aroar, or excuse me, a sprint online to chase him down, like, you're just going to take that kill for free every time.
And that's exactly what Eager does, starting this one off with a bang, getting the kill over there on the left-hand side. Jungles will meet up with their mid laners and make the push towards the fire elementals.
And that's brutal. I just want to talk about this dual lane a little bit more, is that the curse was picked up by Wubbn, right? They wanted to be the aggressors, to look for the kill on Zapman, but the sprint is literally the counter to curse. And so a lot of it comes down to timing. Like, you don't want to burn your curse before that sprint is out, because that's exactly what we saw. Curse came out from Wubbn trying to stay alive. Sprint immediately countered it. That's so unfortunate that Wubbn wasn't able to scout out Aroar in the early game and notice that sprint got picked up.
And the first blood right away going to Aroar, very important, because now he gets to start those Talaria boots ASAP. And the whole idea of expanding the gold lead is just going to go in his favor even more so this early on.
Seems like Noble just going to be playing passive for now. And Noble, based off what we saw yesterday and in the online stage, this is a team centered around early game. They are incredibly skilled in the smaller 1v1s, 2v2s, and 3v3 fights. They struggle with understanding the game at a high level, when to move around the map, when to pressure towers, right? Just strategically thinking. And if you look at Group A, Elevate, they were just a little bit more mechanically skilled, and so Noble going to have a lot of trouble here.
Eager's not going to have any trouble being aggressive here. Diving into the enemy jungle. However, djpernicus in a little bit of a bad spot. Going to get flipped up and in trouble. Dashes away, but Whalrus looking for the ultimate. Forces Aroar into one of his own. And the ultimate of Janus just barely
I don't even
missed.
think DJ knew that was coming. You saw you saw the rat just kind of walk forward. All of a sudden, this giant portal crosses in front of his face. DJ probably lives there. I think Aroar had just got a heal off, but still really close to death there. And Mirage trying to pressure out Best on these mid lanes, and it's actually Noble looking for a counter invade. They did poke out Eager, however, they were able to heal that back up with the Guan.
Down from the sky is going to come DJ. Where's the target? It's going to be, well, no one. DJ's off the mark there, but Mirage gets smacked around. DJ again, forced out and forced down. Mirage answers back very quickly, getting the bite back for Noble.
Whalrus here, looking to line up a pluck. It's on cooldown right now, and Wubbn's going to pop his ult, but Best swinging shots. Divios combines, answers back for Eager, 1 for 1, but Best is going for a ride. 3 members surrounding him, and that unstable vortex chunks through the Best.
Whalrus gets one for himself. He's 1-0-1 this early on, and this is what you got to expect. Big D gets the double kick, but Aduro answers and gets the kill as Divios pushes himself underneath the tower.
Rotation from Zap, though. This is really surprising, recognizing that his side lane's in a lot of trouble, trying to set up a kill. Aduro takes the portal. He's going to swing at Wubbn. He has his ult, and he actually might have the damage, but he's a little bit unsure. And obviously, Wubbn going to be able to heal up, and Zap's got to back off. But that allowed Wowy to get a ton of free farm in the dual lane and strip away these boars.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the matchup in the left side lane, Zap was allowed to make that rotation because Zap was ahead. He was ahead by about 100 gold or so, so he's able to make the transition, and he trades the lead to get about even. You see Wowy take away the piggy banks on the right side.
Great reaction from Eager, though, recognizing that Zap's on the wrong side of the map. The time it would take would be brutal. Mirage in the middle lane, actually stunned out, going to try and dash away, and is going to be able to create the distance between himself and DJ.
You know, this is no surprise here how aggressive these teams are being. It's so incredibly active, and that's what you get when you see Eager versus Noble.
I think this is a thing where Noble needs to recognize, and I think they have recognized, that they're not that great when it comes to working as a team and in a unit strategically in the mid and late game. So instead, just try an invade. Even if it may not be the ideal situation for an invade, just keep up that pressure. They have a composition that can snowball incredibly hard. Wubbn's on this Fafnir. If they can get a pick onto Zapman or TheBest or djpernicus on the left side of the map, they open themselves up for very early Gold Furies. We know the curse was picked up by Wubbn as well. This is all telling me that Noble is going for early game. They want to get ahead, and they're already doing. Look at this, Whalrus 1v4 in a little bit of trouble. Still aggressive.
He's got the ultimate, though. I don't think he's in a large amount of trouble
until
he gets surrounded, and he won't be. Good play from Noble to respond 4 players deep to match Eager's 4 players as well. Divios gets the kick onto Mirage, and the ultimate out of the Best can't reach. djpernicus, however.
He needs this kill. Looking for Mirage, going to land down, finds the knockup and the kill. Portal from Aduro just off the mark. Eager evening up this game, 3 for 3. Noble got away with their invade last time, but this time Eager were a little bit more prepared for it. All their ultimates online.
And I like the strategy. Curse is going to get stuck on a Divios. Slow to no heals. Big play on a Big D, but there's a nice stun coming out for the rest of his team. Kick into the wall. Whalrus in trouble. The Best makes sure Aduro can't walk through the portal.
Wubbn's only level 5 right now. We're 7 minutes in, and that fight, Zapman on the rotation. Wubbn's going to be fine, but that fight was won by Eager because of Aduro's misplay. We saw the charge we saw the pluck go through, and Aduro had a free lineup on the unstable vortex, but misses it on Divios. I think that would have been enough to kill him. He had the penetration boots online, but instead he misses it, allowing Divios to buy enough time for the rest of his team to rotate in, and DJ finds the extra kills.
See, Eager are winning these team fights, the majority of them. Noble are getting return kills, and even though Noble aren't winding up on the top side of every single one of these engagements, Kevin, I think it's the right play, and I'll tell you why. Noble realized that if Wowy takes Zapman one-on-one, he's probably going to lose. If TheBest goes against the Duro one-on-one, they're probably going to lose. But when it comes to team fights, maybe they can put something together. And I like the fact that Noble has not only identified what their issue is, but also how to spin that in the right direction.
And right now, Mirage has stayed even with djpernicus. Wowy, I would have liked to see a little bit more out of him. I mean, Zapman made that rotation into the side lane. Sure, he got an assist, but he still shouldn't be leading in gold when Wowy was left untouched with the entire jungle on the left-hand side open. He's done a good job right now of just farming up, and this Ullr's going to have to be, I think, critical for Noble once he starts rotating into these mid-game team fights.
Yeah, that's what the issue is for me so far. I mean, we've seen a little bit of this Ullr out of Wowy, and Ullr is one of these high execution characters, right? Like, you got to play everything absolutely flawlessly.
You got to hit your stuff.
And unfortunately, he's just not hitting his stuff, man.
I mean, we haven't been able to see him in a real team fight just yet, you know, just kind of sticking to this dual lane. But speaking of the dual lane, Wubbn's in a lot of trouble this game. He took that death for First Blood early on in the laning phase. In addition to that, he didn't go gold game boots. There's no Traveler shoes online for him, and he's going to continuously fall behind. You can see right now, sure he has the tank boots, and those are pretty effective with their recent buffs. Sure. But he only has a Vanguard, and he's just he's a part of so many of these team fights, and it's fine right now before Eager get critical items online, before they have a lot of penetration. But soon, if he's still behind a defensive item, whether it be magical or physical, Wubbn's not going to be able to play as forward as he has been so far in these early game scenarios.
Especially the fact that they're just looking to team fight.
Yeah.
And you heard earlier on the desk, you know, Wubbn is the one that is going to go in and is going to jump in. Even though Fafnir is not the best guy to really be that initiator, he's still going to be looking to do that.
And already just looking for the wards on the left-hand side. I think Noble needs to be looking for these early Gold Furies. They have the global presence of a Duro to get anyone across the map. I'd almost like to see them bait a gank on the right-hand side, sneak Gold Fury off of that. Fafnir is going to absolutely shred it. The main key, though, is going to be Whalrus with this Wrath. Like, if they can get Divios stuck on the right-hand side of the map without a TP in some bait scenario that they set up a gank for, and then just have Whalrus TP in, like, that's going to be a free Gold Fury. You're not going to, as Eager, you're not going to be able to contest it, and here we go already. Whalrus not in tow, though, so no Wrath right now for Noble on this.
Eager's well aware. They do have the ward vision on it. Gold Fury going to be leashed as here comes the Guan Yu, missing everybody.
Auror's out of position. Wubbn trying to find the spot. Oh, but he overjumps it. Unfortunate. Took a little bit too long to line that up, and the rotation from Whalrus caught by himself.
Just comes around on the wrong side of things. Zapman gets a kill very early on. Wowy in trouble, and Zapman brings it home. Double kill for the Freya this early. That's going to be trouble. Big D brings one as well. 7 in total. Noble looking up. It's 3-7, and Eager snatches the gold away.
I like what Noble attempted there, baiting the Gold Fury, but we didn't see them fully commit to it. We saw Wubbn not ult until it was about 30%. I think if Wubbn ults there, AoE coerces the whole team. That's dead before Eager can respond. And, you know, the teleport's not online for either soul laners. They're both probably going to go at more level 12, so they didn't wait for that timing for those teleports to come up to be a factor. And by the time Whalrus had made it to the fight, all of Noble was actually looking for Aroar, who was caught out of position on the wrong side of the Gold Fury, and Whalrus just had no idea that all of the rest of Eager was waiting for him.
Yeah, Whalrus just took the wrong pathing, which was very unfortunate. Misplay coming out from the solo laner. And because of that, Noble suffers dearly. Eager able to snatch it away, and this early on, not even 12 minutes on the clock, Adonis, and we're looking at a 4K gold lead for EGR.
And Noble's continuing to be aggressive here, but this is where they need to be a little bit more calculated in their aggression. It's a 3v1, but Eager's got 2 members right around the corner. One's TheBest, and Noble know it. They've got to back out right now.
And I mean, even Divios by himself, you've got to be afraid. This is where Hercules excels in these, especially by the buffs. Not only can he stun you against the wall, having that boulder just rattle across the walls is an issue.
Wowy taking the 1v1 against Zapman, but Zapman just 2 levels ahead of him. He got that double kill. He's got Boots Fatalis online, back into finish his Demonic Grip as well. This Freya just hit a massive power spike.
And that's what I was saying. Giving Zapman that double kill early on, I mean, that's the problem. Freya, 3 items is the magic number for me personally when I'm looking at Freya.
I agree.
When you see that 3 items on Freya, that means she's ready to fight. And usually that happens 3 minutes from now. At 12 minutes, Zap can do whatever he wants.
I mean, Eager did such a good job. We saw Zapman at level 7 rotate over to the soul lane as Noble was pressuring in. And instead of just having him go the long walk back, let Wowy get a lot of free farm, what happened was Best actually then then went to the dual lane, soaked up that farm, allowing Zapman to soak up a mid wave. So the rotation from Freya was not negative at all. Eager responded perfectly.
No, that's just smart play. Whalrus going to get surrounded a little bit. Nice pluck, and he's going to just keep the fight up. See, like, this is the confidence that I like at a Whalrus. He realizes, look, it's 2v1, but nobody's killing me.
The ultimate across there. Aduro trying to set up a kill. Divios finds the Wrath stun, and in a lot of trouble right now, surrounded.
Yeah, Divios going to get knocked up, and that'll be that. Great bait coming out of Whalrus, finding the delay to allow the rotation from Noble to be fruitful, and that'll get them a kill out to Divios.
A little bit surprising on the pathing that Divios took there. I think his assumption was that only Aduro was coming through that portal. He actually set him out in a spot to try and fight Aduro, but then there's two other people that follow Aduro, and 1v4, right, Divios not going to be able to do anything. He just picked up a shell. He didn't have that. He only had magical protection as well, so Mirage able to do a decent amount of damage.
Interesting itemization. Wubbn's going to jump
in,
Wubbn. But Zapman
line it up.
That.
Thought he was going to hit it.
I like how
Zapman's like, no, I'm just going to kill you. And he actually is killing him. He has his ult, doesn't even need it.
If you're not going to fight me, I'm going to fight you. Right to the sky, looking for the 2v1. Big Z. Wowy, already below half HP.
Oh,
that
my
right
word.
there.
I'm like, Wubbn's about to hit the hammer. They're going to have the follow-up from Wowy and just back off. All of a sudden, Zapman just turns on the pressure.
Ooh.
He shredded him, doesn't even need the ult to kill him. That's what happens when you have a 3-item Freya against Wubbn, who I talked about it earlier. He was so far behind in gold, he had only itemized into physical protection. Zapman knew it and just completely turns it on his head. Wubbn had to ult there immediately. The second Zapman went aggressive, he needed that ult.
And that's one of those things that you're, again, looking for the kill. Aduro gets chunked down. This is the level 16 Freya, ladies and gentlemen. He's 2 levels above his solo laner and the highest level in 16. The entire game.
Wait, was that? I could have sworn he was at full XP. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm going to have to go back and look at that. I don't know, but he's going to get this red buff. I think he's going to take this from the best right now. If I'm Eager,
absolutely.
If I'm Zapman and I was just able to completely shred Wubbn, I am making that adjustment. I am now the critical keystone to Eager's fights, and Eager should not be looking for a fight unless Zap is involved, and you can see just destroying Wowy. Ult in tow, but he misses that last shot.
And again, going back to Zapman and how much he's changed and become the more passive player.
Aduro.
No, it's not going to happen.
I don't know about this. They are fighting the minions.
The wave of minions is good, but it's very important to realize that, you know, aggression isn't by nature bad.
No.
It's about the balance, and Zap has brought that balance, but here in this game, he's got to channel old Zapman, and that's exactly what he's doing.
He's going for the Bancrofts as well. I really like this item because he knows with so far how far ahead he is, that Noble don't really have the damage to kill him in one shot. Just Freya gets base protections with the change from last year, a little bit higher scaling on the defenses and health. And that means that if he can just survive, that Bancrofts is not only going to increase his damage as he gets low, but the extra lifesteal, because it works so well with Freya, he's going to be able to outtrade anyone. I would say he could probably 1v2 most of Noble right now.
Absolutely. Like, I'm not even concerned about the passive when it comes to Bancroft on Freya. It just doesn't even come to mind. It's all about that lifesteal. She got 15% lifesteal on top of that thanks to the passive. When you combine that with the Bancrofts, I mean, we saw Ataraxia play around with it last year, Bancrofts and the Pythags. She becomes this warrior team fighter where she just, when her life goes down, her life goes back up. And when you're this far ahead, you're able to leverage that. And like you said, take the multi-man fights.
The most important part about Freya in this matchup is how good it is going to be against Sobek when he ults, because yeah, sure, he's going to be lurking under the water, but you could just turn around and kill. Like, Freya has the damage to kill a Sobek that's 3 levels below him and doesn't even have any magical protection online. It looks like he's going for the Wingblade as well, which means that magical protection is going to be delayed for even another 5 to 10 minutes. And if Whalrus is what Noble was relying on because of his performance from day one, they can't have that in this game. They're so far behind right now. And I don't know which member of Noble is going to be able to turn this around. Like, you look at Aduro, just only level 13 right now. He's so far behind at 17 minutes.
Divios playing goalie as Eager pull the Gold Fury right here. Nice pluck from Whalrus, but it's going to be immune thanks to the purification. Up to the sky goes Zapman, trying to find the damage onto the Whalrus. But the Sobek goes underneath the ground. Pull on to Divios. He's leading the charge.
Tanky.
The rest of Eager are coming in, and they're going to fight. Let's listen into Eager as they take this one to Noble.
Alright, just go back to gold. Go, gold. Watch for a 2 Janus.
I'm using my med there.
You gotta heal.
Oh, shit, dude. I called that one.
Do we have Hog? They don't.
No, we don't want to do this. Get off it.
I don't want to do it. I can whoop here. Let's reset
Yeah,
them.
you whoop, I can pull.
Alright.
I'm gonna stand it then for a sec.
Right here. Got two.
Nice.
Got two.
Oh my god, that's his Aegis. He's nice. Okay, I hogged that. Let's go back.
Let's go.
I hogged that one. I'm still healthy.
Alright, we can just bait him again. I'll look for another whoop. Divios, wait for it to come down, alright?
Alright, I forgot your late. Get up next. They're not gonna have Janus.
Figure it out.
Good job. Good job, guys. Pressure up.
My takeaway from that, I'm actually laughing at it. Zapman's like, hey, look, Divios, why don't you wait till they come down, okay, first? And Divios' response was, I forgot you were level 18 because the banish is going to last longer.
It scales the higher the rank is. It's rank 4 right now. I guess it was rank 3 right before this, but definitely not expected coming out. A little bit of missed time from Divios there, but it still worked, and I like the comms we heard from Eager in that scenario where there was a little bit uneasiness about the Gold Fury. Zapman intook everything, and the second he said, I'm going to whoop, you pool, the team committed to it. Zapman, his call is final, it seems. There was a bunch of suggestions, rolling around, can we do this? I'm not sure. But still, once Zapman makes a call, that's it. They commit to it. And that's what you need at this high level.
And you know what I love screaming and hooting and hollering and aggression.
Very calm.
That's my favorite. We're watching this team fight. I'm like, Eager's coming in, they're surging. All you hear is just keyboards pushing buttons.
Yeah, I didn't think we were in the comms at first. I was like, are we in the comms? And then I just hear the keys clicking.
And what that tells me is that Eager, look, you don't have to, there's no direction. There's nothing that needs to be said. Run forward and kill people. Everybody on Eager are confident in what they're doing. This is a team of veterans. We've been harping on these rookies. And that's not something Eager's got to worry about.
Something they do have to worry about, though, is Auror's ultimate. It's going to be wasted, but that opens up a free red buff invade once again, going over to Zapman. Wowy. Can't miss that. You hit the stun, you miss the hail of arrows. You got to connect that. That is the bread and butter. If you can't do that, you can't play Ullr at this land.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I was saying. I was concerned about that. I touched upon it. I didn't really dive in, but the Ullr is definitely a curious choice here. Zapman hitting level 20, the first in the entire game. Again, above not only his own solo laner, but every player in the entire game. This Freya was gifted a double kill very early on, and the rest was history.
This is going to be really hard for Noble to come back into. I'm not going to say it's impossible, because you never know.
8K.
You never know. This is a very unlikely comeback, though. The 10K experience lead is the big one for me, not even the gold. We're just seeing Noble be so far behind in levels that they don't have the based damage to finish off these key targets like Zapman. And as long as Zapman is positioning himself properly, he's great. He has the heal sustained from Aroar as well. He has a good amount of stuns, both the best ultimate, djpernicus up close, and then Divios, a lot of control in that kit. And even if you're just on top of Zapman fighting him, you know the boulder from Divios is going to come out too.
And, there's one thing that I think Noble can look for and be positive about is the fact that Zapman is crushing it, this Freya's crushing it, but it's Freya, one of the more susceptible gods to dying. Wow, he's getting walked down by djpernicus.
Love it. Love what DJ did there. You could see just like juking around, running him in a circle, not allowing him to line up those abilities. Oh, what? Okay, I think Wubbn got knocked up. It was a little bit awkward there, but Wubbn barely makes it out. Level 12, he's 8 levels behind Zapman. Like, you are not anyone that can body block Zapman right now.
No, you die in a pulse irradiate combo at the very least.
Like 2 shots. Yeah. He's done.
What I liked right there, which is the best sort of did it, lane swap is a harsh, is the hard word, right? And there wasn't a lane swap. Best covered, and Zapman covered the lane right there. And what we saw in that team fight, most teams, most situations, djpernicus is going to be involved, and it'll be Hunter v Hunter. But Eager has noticed, they're like, dude, Zapman's super ahead. We've got to leverage that. And they allow Zapman to join the team fight, and DJ's the one that's controlling the Hunter. Because those Hunter battles aren't about ego. It's about keeping the Hunters out of the team fights and letting the rest rage on. DJ and Zap switch spots, and that brings the Freya damage to the forefront.
Something about Freya, too, here is that I thought it was going to be the Bancrofts, but actually picking up the Pythagoreans piece instead.
Same effect for me.
I mean, the recent buffs, though, is why we've seen Pythagoreans a lot more. It's always been an item that works pretty well on Freya. Freya, that CDR, but now more of the power is onto the aura, only increasing Best's damage. He has a Soul Reaver online right now. I love this. Best is not looking to do a mass amount of damage to everyone. All he wants is that Soul Reaver proc onto a single person. They're going to be forced out of the fight or a free kill for the rest of his team.
Yeah, Best, I wouldn't go so far to say he's going to be playing utility. I mean, he's a Raijin with power boots, Soul Reaver, and an Obsidian Shard. But I would be very surprised if we see Best do anything but a taunt ultimate there, because the power is going to be coming out of Zapman. If Best is able to just bring players in with the taunt, Zapman can just throw gumballs into everybody's hair and watch them fall over.
I mean, you see this item in Soul Reaver, and why Best like picking... Best is one of the few mid laners who actually likes picking it up early, and the reason is because it's great in the smaller fights. It's great when you pick one person, you get that 15% proc off, and they are absolutely shredded. They now can't take part in the fight, because that's obviously followed up with the rest of his damage. Sure, Thoth will do more damage overall in a team fight, but you really just need that one little bit of burst for DJ to dive the back line or line it up for Zap to kill them off.
Touching upon the itemization real quick here. Duro's going to force the reset thanks to a single ult.
Yeah.
They thought the whole team was coming through the portal.
They did. They're like, oh, they're... Oh,
okay.
They're just trying to snipe it away.
That's a Duro. You know what that is? He's playing Ding Dong Ditch. You ever do that as a kid? Just rings the doorbell and runs away. Tosses the ult out, just runs away. Divios is going to get collapsed on, tossed up in the air, healing just a little bit, but not quite enough.
A little bit of trouble there.
Whalrus gets the kill on Whalrus, but here, 24 exactly on the clock. Eager only leading by 4 kills, but a much different story in the gold. 8,600, and Adonis, you were touching on the experience difference before.
The experience is still the same for me. Wubbn's so far behind, he's not going to be able to be a true support. djpernicus, though, going to go here on Noble, who's actually started up the Fire Giant. That's a last-ditch effort from them. djpernicus, great presence of mind there to recognize it was going on. And Eager are just going to reset. They're not in a good position to really fight Noble. They're not grouped up. They're going to let Zapman split. They're just going to make sure that Noble can't finish this FG.
And I like what DJ did there. He doesn't have to go directly into the fight. He just has to show the players his face.
Wow, the commit.
And that'll stop. But Noble's going to hard commit here.
They have Wrath.
And I like this decision to hard commit, honestly. They realize that Zap's on the left-hand side. DJ's ultimate is already down. The best is here. And they're going to look for the fight. Here comes Aroar pushing forward, trying to get the stun. The Best ultimate already down.
And Best in a lot of trouble trying to make it to his tower, but he's pulled by Mirage, and he's going to be isolated out. Whalrus finds one. Coerce also going to help Noble shred through Aroar, who's caught, knocked up as well. djpernicus, the one on the side there. Aroar living for quite some time, though, and that's allowed Zapman and Divios to rotate in.
DJ's below half HP, however. Whalrus leading the charge. Here comes Divios. Misses the Earthbreaker, but gets the driving strike. Tosses the boulder. Down goes the tower. Good portal coming out from Adora to control Zap for the moment. Stun is on the money from Wowy, and Zapman takes to the sky. Ton of damage. Mirage might fall, but he cancels it, and Wubbn protects his jungler. Beautiful team fight from Noble.
Perfect, actually. Like you said, recognizing Zapman's on the wrong side of the map. It wasn't even about committing to the Fire Giant. That's just a 4v5. And also, most of Eager's lead is on Zapman. He's the one that's been an issue. He's not a part of that fight. By the time he comes back in, he's by himself. He is a mage. Divios knocks 2 into the fire pits. And here's DJ as well. This is a 2v4.
Noble's very low, but still have the numbers. Eagers don't seem to mind. Divios pushing forward. 1v4 at the moment. Still looking to stay aggressive. Warus just tickles him, and Divios, he might die here, but he's done the job.
3-man Wrath, nice sidestep as well. Finally lined up with the stun, and Aduro finishes him off. But Noble, I mean, they're surviving. This is one by one. Eager's marching in, and they've been able to delay the Fire Giant, but they're giving Noble hope. This was 5 to 10 in kills at the start of Noble with the FG. Now it's dead even.
They've shortened the lead up as well, bringing the gold a little bit closer. And what I love there, that's Noble being intelligent. 26 minutes on the clock. We spent maybe 23 minutes talking about Zap, and that's not because we're good friends with Steve. That's because he's just crushing it. He was level 20 before anybody else was sniffing 17. The second they see he's not there, they look at everybody else and they say, hey, we're kind of even.
Oh, with a dropship for FG. And Eager, I mean, Eager's got a ward on this. They're going to know what's happening, and Zapman's on the wrong side of the map. This is a full commit, I think. They know that Eager is in shambles. Aroar doing everything he can to stop this. Rats should be able to secure it, though.
Fire Giant goes down. That's all Nobles. Let's listen to the clowns.
I'm dead. Just run. Good shit. You're good. As long as you let us fight. Job. Let's go. Get the fuck out. Brett's behind, Brett's back, Brett's back. They're looking to fight. I think we're fine,
Yeah, just run.
Just wait on the turret.
Good.
I'm so worth it. Good fucking shit. Yo, what? What's up? Hit my shit. Good job, we're doing good.
Well, Noble's happy.
Oh, Whalrus caught out of the dash. Zapman around the corner. The comms were great, but this is a brutal loss.
Oh, Zapman making it rain. Warus is just caught out with no umbrella. Down for the count. Number 12 for Eager. Pushing forward. Big D misses the flip, but gets a stun. There's a jump away from Walrus, and guess what? Fire Giant or not, Tier 2. Toasted.
That is disheartening. Just a beautiful, intelligent play from Noble there at the Fire Giant, drop shipping in. They only lose a Duro, but then Whalrus wants a little bit more farm. Now Eager's going to be able to contest this Phoenix on the right-hand side. It's
Divios.
5v2, but Divios falls.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage. See, Eager had a large lead before and were able to make these reckless plays, but Noble, they're catching up. You only get to level 20. Everybody is nice and happy, but Noble's catching up, and they're able to do more and more damage. The experience lead matters in the mid game. Then you reach a limit.
Really unfortunate there for Eager. They only had 4. djpernicus actually split pushing on the left-hand side. He was actually at the Phoenix with a full wave, another one right behind him. But the issue is he started rotating, thinking he could make it to the fight for Eager, but they had already back. That was a free Phoenix for DJ that he tried to get to a team fight, doesn't pay off, and the Clowns are fighting back. We're 29 minutes into this one. Eager have made a lot of mistakes, but it's also credit to Noble playing this so intelligently. This is not the Noble we saw in day 1, or the Noble I had even expected to be able to make those kind of shot calls.
I mean, look, Adonis, they got nothing to lose, and at the end of the day, you know, the absolute worst pro team, talking thirst level of bad, are still better than everybody you know.
Hey,
so
thank you for not saying RG. I love you. That's all I gotta. That's all I gotta say.
That's only because I forgot about that.
I know,
they're
but
forgettable.
Hey, man.
My point is that, you know, Noble, they're obviously not number 1 as far as the pro players are concerned, but they're still one of the best of the best of the best, sir, right? So they're going to have that game knowledge. They're going to be able to make these plays. The problem is Eager's just able to bite back.
Here's the thing about competitive Smite in the past year. The skill gap that we used to see back in Season 1 and the beginning of Season 2 has shrunk immensely.
For sure.
We're talking the number 1 hunter in NA versus the bottom hunter in NA. Yeah, sure, Zapera have the slight edge, but these guys are just as good mechanically. We're not seeing a lot of mechanical issues. There's the odd player here or there that's really good, the odd player that's a little bit lacking, but it's become more of a strategic game and kind of having a positive team environment. The Clowns, I don't want to say they're rejects, but they're people who haven't been able to make it work in other units, but they've banded together and we're starting to see them really shine. I don't think they're coming out of this group, incredibly unlikely, but what they can do is play spoiler, and LG and ALG are loving this game right now.
And I like to compare, you know, compare Noble or the Randozos to the previous rankings of previous splits, and every single time around these guys have improved, and, you know, like you said, they're probably not going to come out on top, but this is definitely a better showing, I think, than a lot of people expect.
Late purification, Wubbn's going to ult, Aroar finds a 2-man stun, and the snipe doesn't do enough.
DJ gets a strong knockup, making way for the bowling ball. Here comes Eager on the front side. Wubbn jumps forward, half HP. He level 16. He cannot play support. Warus looking for the big chunk, but he's surrounded, dashed into the wall, and there's trouble for him. DJ gets the kill.
This composition from Eager a little bit too mobile. The meditation shell sprint paying dividends for them in that fight. They were able to juke around a lot of Noble's damage. It was an incredibly hectic fight as well, and no one on Noble was really able to get to the back line. And now Eager, Wubbn, his ult just ended. He's gonna be caught, just knocked up in the air, goes flying a little bit. And that's twice now that Eager, off of the back of fights, critical fights, have found these picks of players either taking the wrong pathing, being a little bit slow to kind of disengage, just getting caught out while farming. And that's where Eager, if they do close this out, I mean, that's going to be it, right? Noble's done a great job of fighting back, but they still need to be working as that unit. They still have a chance here.
A lot of these teams, I think one of the bigger differences between watching Noble and Eager, right, if you want to take the analytical look, is the discipline. And that you know, we talk about it, we make jokes about it. Hashtag one more wave. wave, right? We've seen a couple
it's
of
a
deaths.
Zapman thing.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of deaths here on Noble because of that issue. And that's one of the things. Noble, like I said, they're not awful players, but they're lacking some of the discipline that, I mean, Zapman said it took him 3 years to learn.
I think they're great players. I really do. I don't think anyone playing at this level that comes to LAN is a bad player. But the discipline is where it comes down to.
Exactly.
Sure, you can jump in and take the 1v1 against Zapman, but are you thinking about his wave? Are you thinking about where DJ is on the map? Probably not, and that's the difference, is that these players on eager are thinking about everything that's happening in the entire map. Like, they just know what's happening. They know what's going on, and they can play and plan around it. Aduro, really? Misses.
There's a jump forward from Wubbn, trying to have Noble being very aggressive, surprisingly so. I think they even surprised Eager with the aggression. Split up team fight, like you said, Kevin, and it's just not a good look for Noble.
Aduro's on the back end of this one. Whalrus in a lot of trouble too. djpernicus finds a double in this one, and Noble were doing such a fantastic job, but their aggression, I think, a little bit over-calculated on that one. They lose 2. They were completely... I think they had only assumed 2 members of Eager were in that area, and then we just see 3 of them loop around from their base, from the mid lane, and just completely unexpected for Noble. They just wanted a single pick, and they ran into all of Eager.
You don't care about the Fire Giant. They want the kills, as always. Big boulder over the top, and there's trouble for Mirage. djpernicus, you ready for this one? Playing nutty.
You're worse than aggro. And that's a bold statement. This is just soul-crushing for Noble, right? Getting behind so far, playing back so intelligently, forcing fights 4v5 at the Fire Giant because they know Zapman's on the wrong side of the map, utilizing the dropship to sneak a Fire Giant outside of Eager, but then Whalrus gets caught farming, and now recently they've just kind of been split up across the map. What they came back into this game with was intelligent teamwork, and then all that teamwork just completely stopped afterwards.
I mean, Noble are looking for these individual spots. They're looking for points of reference to really say, hey, we did that right. How can we repeat that? How can we keep that going? Right side, Phoenix Siege is going to go the way of Eager most likely. Best gets a kill very early on, and DJ on the backside playing zone duty. Zapman doesn't know how to stop these days and just pushes everybody to the backside. Firebird goes down.
Took him 34 minutes, but Eager finally take a Phoenix. They've been over 10,000 ahead. I think half this game, it's going to be the second Phoenix as well. Only 1 more remaining on the left-hand side, and Eager are just going to be playing it safe, stripping the jungle, getting the Gold Fury. They just want a massive lead. They want to finish off their builds and crush Noble to dust on their final push.
Absolutely. You got the full build across the way, looking at Zapman, looking at even the support player. What I like here is that the 2 aura items for the supports are coming out split. Divios has picked up the Heart Ward very early on, and then a little bit later you see the Sovereignty coming out of Aroar on the support. Just a nice split push, a nice split build.
djpernicus just backed and bought a 3,000 gold potion.
I love the change out of not even paying attention to that. Freya with this spear. This is one of my
Spear of Desolation. Yeah, that's.
This is one of my favorite god item combinations because Freya is a character where the whole thing that makes her hard is dealing with the downtime of your steroids. If you get the kill, looking at the cooldown reduction that Zapman has, the steroids don't have downtime.
And Zap's 6-1 and 7. Yes. He can also, like, I don't want to say steal kills, but it's actually better for Zapman to secure the kills in these fights.
For sure.
To reset his pulse irradiate, because he's just going to be continuously life-stealing and life-stealing and life-stealing if he does reset that. And we've seen that Noble, unless it's a 1v4, they haven't been able to isolate out Zapman in the backline. That job has to belong to both Mirage and Whalrus. They need to get to Zap to the into the backline and kill him before the Guan Yu heals can take effect.
And this is Zapman just looking for the waterfall, right? 1 kill into 2 kills into 3 kills, and that single multi-kill. I mean, I feel like every single game that LG has won has come off of a last-minute triple kill out of Mask and Barracuda. And that's what they're looking for here. Shut 3 players down, ignore the rest of the 2, and just kill the time.
Aduro's got to come up big here on this Janus well. He's just shy of finishing off Soul Reaver. That would have been so... If he had Soul Reaver in this fight, we could see Noble make a stand, but it's so incredibly unlikely.
Yeah.
Wowy has finished Deathbringer, though, so he's got some bubble crits. They're relying on a lot of RNG, I think, and it's going to be hard fought for Noble to defend this last Phoenix.
Here's the final push coming down from Eager. Most likely. We'll see how this one works out. Left side being focused. Zapman dealing damage to the tower.
Divios just untouched in the back line, and Janus ult already wasted. Divios getting low, though, but DJ's already answered.
And a nice swoop is going to lift 3 to the sky and give Eager a chance to catch up. Everybody Going in deep, folks. You're focusing on both the players and the Titans, honestly. Can't decide who they want to kill. Half HP on the Order Titan as Eager files into the throne room. Good knockup from DJ, and we'll see you later. 37 on the clock, and the win goes to Eager.
Credit to Noble. Gotta give a lot of credit to them. They had a really good plan to come back into this game. Unfortunate though, incredibly unfortunate, that after having such intelligent teamwork, everything just collapsed. They started making individual plays, getting picked off, and Eager looked a little bit shaky. Noble, I don't think they're making it out of the groups. I don't think anyone thinks they're going to be able to make it out of the groups, but I think they are going to play spoiler, and if they can find a win against Eager, ALG, or LG, which I think will happen by the end of the third day, that's probably the team that doesn't make it, and Eager definitely need to tighten up for their second game.
Listen, in one of the first team fights, so Noble had this idea, which I actually like. Look, we're not going to beat anybody one-on-one, so let's team fight early and let's team fight often, and I think that was the right choice. Unfortunately, Freya got a double kill at some point, and that was pretty much the end of it.
Yeah, a lot of misplay in that laning phase for Wowy and Wubbn. Wubbn dying at level 2. Pretty sure he had jumped into that wave. I think we had missed that. The turnaround immediately. He gets picked up for first blood onto a Freya who you don't want to have lane dominance. And then a couple minutes later, I think level 12, Wubbn jumps over the wall, and Zap's like, I'm just going to kill you. I have 3 items. And that was kind of the name of the game for Eager.
Freya. Certainly able to make it happen. Eager's up 1-0 against Noble. Hindu, why don't you break it down?
Thanks so much, F. and Dennis, for that game. And as you can see there, all the players are using the official hardware of hi-rez eSports here. Steel Series all weekend long. Even us on the desk are using those laptops too. And talking about the desk, I'm joined by, once again, Drelo and Anatoly to break down that first game for you. Toly, first of all, start the game. Noble invested a lot into Divios in the solo lane at the beginning of that set.
They definitely tried to shut down the Hercules player. He was able to really keep himself alive with the sustain. He was doing a great job. He had one questionable rotation going back into the jungle when he saw the Janus ultimate, but he thought it was only going to be a Duro that one time around, so he thought he could make the one-on-one play.
Drelo, do you think it was a wise idea for Noble to invest so much into Divio so long?
Honestly, I thought they had a very good buff defense at the first 3-minute buff respawn, but after that, I think they sort of chilled and just played for their buffs, played to secure their own buffs, and maybe look to test mid camps. Because if you look at their team fight in the 4v4, Janus is weaker than Raijin, and Wubbn's behind, and Sobek is weaker than Hercules. They just be playing to defend buffs and not playing to invade buffs.
Well, the problem with that as well was it allowed Zapman over in the dual lane to pretty much dictate things, Toly.
You can't allow a mage hunter that has no natural escape to just go uncontested. We saw how successful he was with the Chronos. It's kind of difficult to gank a Chronos, but it's a lot easier to gank the Freya. But now, level 16 Freya against a level 14 Ullr, he was able to just completely devastate Wubbn in this play.
And in getting his pretty much his core build on Freya online by 12 minutes was a really big boost for him as well, Drelo. He just kind of dictated the game from there.
100%. And Noble made a very smart play. When Eager committed four members to the duo side of the map, they immediately looked for something on the other side of the map. That's how you come back fine. You look for trade for things on the other side of the map. And what they did was they picked Hercules, baited fire, snowballed that into 2 or 3 more picks, then backed, and Janus ulted the fire and got fired. That was a very smart play.
And that really worked out well for Noble. They did have a sign of life in that later stages of the game and nearly started to climb back into it, but I feel the golden experience and the experience as a team didn't really work out for them.
Despite getting some of the tier 1 towers off the map, a Gold Fury as well, off of the Fire Giant, they were still behind too much gold as a result. They couldn't really bounce back in the game they wanted to, and as a result, Eager, they had just too much damage really to really handle.
Now, Rory is on there at the bottom. Don't worry, he didn't do no damage. I'm just letting you guys at home know, because I know what Twitch chat is like. First of all, they'll be like, well, we did nothing.
Wowy was the problem.
Wowy was the problem, clearly. One thing I do want to talk about, though, which I've not mentioned yet so far, but it was the first time we didn't see a teleport out of either solo laner. Is this Divios trying to change solo lane yet again?
It's definitely one. He's the one that would change the meta for sure. He's the one that really likes to go the Raft style and the options, whether it's going to be the sprint or the curse, even depending on the matchups. So I wouldn't be surprised in this set particularly if that's going to be continuing phase.
I mean, we saw the Raft start for both of them. Obviously, you were talking about Sobek with the Raft, very useful against the invade early on, Drelo, but then neither of them going for a teleport at level 12 as well. Are we moving away from teleport here?
Well, I thought that both of them sort of realized that a team fight active would have helped their team more so than the rotation power that a teleport would give. And honestly, it's like an individual choice. I still do feel like teleport is good. I don't really feel like it's going to be a set in stone until something is more proven later on and at Super Regionals. But I think it's definitely viable.
What about you, Tilly? I mean, a solo lady yourself, so you should have some input on what you think about teleport and whether it should be moved away now.
Warrior versus Guardian, you want to be able to try to look for those aggressive invades. The Warriors always have the advantage in the earlier phases, which is why you try to invade with the Wrath. And as a response to the Guardian, he has to get the Wrath just to make sure he doesn't get invaded. So it becomes the mind game. It's like, okay, you might get Wrath. I'm going to need to get Wrath to try to counteract that. So like I mentioned before, this could be the one set that we're not going to see teleport in solos.
So games.